I love to grow peas and beans in pots for two reasons. One, because sometimes I just want to save a small number of seeds from a small number of plants, so a pot is ideal. But also, I'm very keen to see how well things grow in containers for those of us who are not fortunate enough to have big gardens and want to try and grow some really delicious heritage and heirloom varieties in small spaces. Yeah. However, behind me are 3 containers which I have just the other day cleared of peas and beans that were ripe to save the seed of, and I don't like to leave the soil bare for any length of time. So as it is now high summer, I will sow a few things that will provide me with some food into the autumn, but also are a very useful green manure. So this is a relatively small pot, and I want to sow some rocket seed in it. It's very, very easy to save rocket seeds. You just leave the rocket to flower and go to seed. But I do buy seed from time to time, and this is cultivated rocket from Franchi, and it's some quite old seed, and I just like to use it because it's very good quality. And I just essentially sprinkle some seed into the pot, and I then rake it over, and I'll give it a really, really good water. So I just want to brush it in, give it a little bit of a tap down. This is my own compost, and I will every year add some fresh compost to it, and sometimes a little bit of feed, a little bit of my organic plant food, just to make sure that there are enough nutrients in the pot for the plant to do well. I often get given seeds by people, and in this case this is a really nice mustard seed, Osaka purple, and as you can see it was packed 5 years ago, but I still am able to get a good crop off it. There's never any reason to throw away a packet of seeds. All you have to do is keep them cold and keep them dry, and many types of vegetable will remain viable for years. Brassicas, of which this mustard is one, will last for years. I had growing in here broad beans earlier. They're a legume and they are nitrogen fixers, and I've left the roots in this big tub, which means that there is a goodly supply of nitrogen in here, which is exactly what mustard needs to grow well. And I do the same thing, broadcast the seed in, and then just gently rake the soil over, and I'll give it a really, really good water because we're in for some very hot, sunny weather. So this seed bed needs to be kept beautifully damp all the time. Once the seedlings emerge, I'll almost certainly put a little netting over it to stop the friendly birds from helping themselves. So this big old cattle trough I used to grow my Jaune de Madras pea in this year, and now I'm going to follow it with my own fenugreek seed. This is very, very easy again to save the seed of. So fenugreek, we tend to in this country use it as a green manure, but of course it's a delicious, fantastic Asian herb, and you can eat the leaves. They're fabulous in curries, and you can let it flower and eat the pods actually as beautiful spicy fenugreek pods, or allow the seeds to dry, which is what I've done here. And I'm going to sow these in this tub as a green manure. But rest assured, if we continue to have a summer and an autumn like the one we're having at the moment, I will also be harvesting the leaves, but not the seed pods, because I will turn the fenugreek in probably in early winter as a green manure. So again, this is the sort of thing, I just sprinkle it around into my trough, and it's maybe a little bit too thickly sown, but I can always thin some of the plants out if I feel it's a little bit too thick. And I get my trusty fork and essentially turn, rake over the top of the soil to bury the seed just under the surface. It doesn't need to be deep. And this actually is compost that has come out of another pot that I'm essentially recycling. And this is a mix of old potting compost, fertile fibre potting compost, and my own compost. And do you know what? You can keep recycling and reusing your compost for endlessly. All one has to do is to refresh it with nutrients. And so I add to this compost a sort of compost refresher every now and then, which puts nutrients back into it, and off you go again. I like to add a mix of fertilizers and ingredients into the compost, which would be put into the commercial potting compost, and that's just an organic fertilizer effectively, with some additional minerals and other elements that I just mix into the compost. And I've taken something that's got old and stale, and it's refreshed, and I can use it again.